All right, we are going to go over our code of conduct as well as our camp rules or boundaries so that they are clear to you, they will be clear to the campers, and that everybody can follow these expectations. The first one is regarding physical touch. So we want to emphasize what healthy physical touch looks like between campers with one another as well as leaders with campers. So what appropriate physical touch would look like would be like a brief side hug or a light touch on like the shoulder or arm, anything that is above the arms or shoulders. This can communicate we're here, we're with you, but doesn't cross any personal boundaries. This can also include high fives or fist bumps, but not hand holding for an extended period of time or anything like that. So what we ask you not to do, obviously, is to touch a child at any point below the shoulders, no wrestling, no tickling. This also includes lap sitting or piggyback rides for a lot of those younger kids. We just ask not to do that, and we'll be enforcing that as well, just so that we're not crossing any boundary for ourselves, for the kids, or making other kids uncomfortable. We will talk more in this training about the effects of trauma, and physical touch can be a really big impact of trauma that many of our kids have come from. And even if it's not happening to them, seeing it around them can be uncomfortable. And we want to help our kids feel safe at all times. So that's kind of our first really important one, is understanding physical touch boundaries. Second is understanding never find yourself alone with a camper. This one is super important, and we do everything we can to help make sure that this is taken care of at all times. So rule of 3. That could mean you, another volunteer or leader with a camper. It could also mean you with 2 campers. So no matter what, anybody on campus, if there is a child camper present, there needs to be 3 people. So if a camper needs to run back to the cabin, that's okay. Take another camper with you, or take a volunteer or leader to make sure that that is being taken care of. So you should never find yourself alone with a child. Also, 2 campers should never be alone together. There should always be a leader together with campers, even for high school breakaway age. It's important that they always stay with a leader. So never find yourself alone with a child. Find a way to always have 3 people present. At no point should you use language that is inappropriate. This includes cursing, but also snarky attitudes, as well as sarcasm, any sort of coarse or language that is not encouraging to the kids. We do communicate this to our campers as well, but knowing them, their backgrounds, their histories, many of them aren't used to this, and so they will need a lot of reminders. And we'll talk more about playful engagement, and that's going to be a great way to help encourage our campers to use more appropriate language and to teach them the tools and ways that they can talk more appropriately. So we expect that of our cabin leaders, and to help enforce that with the campers. Next, no leader should use any illegal drugs, marijuana, or use any alcoholic substance during camp. So that means any day of camp or our training, to refrain from those altogether. If you believe that a child has been harmed, whether that be from another person, themselves, anything that could be abuse or neglect, or physical sexual harm, please report that to the camp staff as soon as you hear it. We'll have a system, and we will communicate that as we get closer to camp for you guys to be able to report if you hear anything during cabin time or other places where a child might be in harm. But that's very important that you make sure to communicate those things to us. And then lastly, no romantic relationships between any of our volunteers and with our families, campers, parents, anything like that. Just super clear. The rules that we will be sharing up front to our campers that we want you guys to understand as well. First one is to be respectful. Second is to stick together. So like I said, campers need to be with their leaders at all times. The third is no hurts. So we don't hurt others with our words or with our actions. The fourth is healthy touch and personal space, as we discussed with that first code of conduct point. The fifth one is to unplug. So for all of our camps, we will be collecting phones as campers arrive. So they should not have it with them. They shouldn't have it in the cabin. So this is a place for them to unplug from the rest of the world. Leaders, you should have your phones on you. We'll talk more about that. But that's essentially for staff to contact you, for you to get a hold of us, which will be necessary. But we ask that you unplug from your outside life, and at times where you need to check in, that's fine. You'll just do it away from your cabin. Number 6 for camper rules is you belong here. So all of our campers are known and seen and loved. And one of the ways that we create this family feel is through our camp shirt. So every camper and leader will get a new shirt every day, and we ask that they wear that camp shirt to create this unified feeling. So we're going to have you guys help us enforce this, that we're going to wear our camp shirts while we are at camp. And the number 7 is that it is a safe space. So there's no weapons, no drugs, smoking, vapes, inappropriate words or behaviors. We hope you don't have to come across this. Of course, call a cabin leader coordinator or camp staff if you were to find any of these things. The one that seems to come up the most is usually vaping or smoking related things with those older campers, but we do our best to communicate that and to collect it up front. But just be aware that, emphasize that this is a safe space for everybody who is there. And the last one is that we have fun. So we're going to emphasize that. We're going to create a really fun environment. So be mindful of that. How can I just tune my heart to making a really fun and connecting environment for my campers?